Look, I mean, beyond anything else, like you're a dad, right? Like I'm a dad, like that, trying to even like begin to imagine that process, and you deal with it all the time. I mean, and like we've known people in our lives, people that we're really close with who have lost kids. Like, we've lost friends when we were young. And you talked about last time something that really stuck with me, people who sort of can kind of like handle that kind of process the best, for lack of a better word, and you talked about people who like really have a close relationship with God or with religion. They normally can sort of like deal with that process better. Can you just speak a little bit more to like sort of, folks who have suffered losses like that, and things that maybe an example of something that you've just been really in awe of, or you really admired the way that somebody handled it? And can you also, I don't know, for folks that might be facing it or folks that are going through it, something that sort of things you got to beware, or things that go the other way?
I'm not sure I have any kind of brilliant wisdom for coping mechanisms. A lot of folks have a hard time connecting to something bigger purposes, whatever it may be, right? It's, our sort of faith in institutions is less. Our faith in religion a lot of times is less. And I do find that families and people who kind of can see the world with a bit of perspective in terms of purpose tend to find a little bit more peace after this, after losing somebody. I think there is an unimaginable loss for all these folks, and you can't make the loss less. It's not that the loss becomes less, but I do think folks who are able to see, whether it's, religion is an easy one, but there are others. And I find that people, there's a kid who was sort of a diehard baseball player who passed away. And it's like, is baseball, for most people walking in and talking about baseball when they just lost their kid, is like connecting to baseball would be silly. I mean, we have to remember, we always forget that like the thing that a kid loves, they love as much as the thing you love now most. So you think about how you think about your kids, how much you love your kids, what you would do to protect your kids. Like a 12-year-old who loves baseball would do that much for baseball.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, that it sounds so silly, but it is like, that is their connection to baseball. It is their life, or whatever their passion is. And so, when a kid who passes away, when the focus can be a connection to something bigger, and the family, the kid's brother, they found enormous peace in connecting with their baseball community, right? They got involved as coaches and volunteers and raised money to name the field after the kid. And that doesn't kind of lessen the loss.
Of course.
But his life to them goes on through that. And so I think there's a connectivity to purpose and kind of finding that passion that works better. And sorry, it's a long answer to a short question, but I think like the caution side is maybe about missing that, is maybe about the family focusing on the things that didn't happen. The kid didn't get to do this. They didn't get to graduate high school. They didn't get to go to a prom. And there are granular things we all spend so much time thinking like for our kids.
Of despair,
it's endless cycle.
Yeah.
And look, it's
truly the worst thing that can happen.
It's inevitable,
yeah,
right? Because you're going to stay close with your kids' friends. You're going to watch them get driver's license. You're going to watch them graduate. You're going to watch them go to college, find spouses, have kids. At each phase, there's no question there's a part of you that's like, why didn't my kid get that? Why didn't my kid get that? That just is endless. But when it gets flipped into, hey, I'm supporting the local church and getting other kids these opportunities that my kid is responsible for.
Right.
That's my kid who's doing that. I think there's
They live on.
They live on.
And you I mean, that's a really beautiful way of saying, like, through purpose. I mean, I've told you a little bit about, like, you know, that family that we've gotten real close with on Bill's team, you know, and you know, they lost their little girl, and I'm like, you know, and she got sick the same way Addie got sick, and you know didn't make it through. And I see, like, in the way that they move and they celebrate her, and they continue to, like, you know, really go and help, like, other families. They're very, like, outward about it. She remains enormously present in all their lives, in the way that they love each other, in the way that they celebrate their other kids, in the way they reach out to other people that are doing